On today's video, we're installing fog lights on this 2000 Jeep Cherokee. Our first step is we need to cut out the section for a fog light. From the factory, it comes halfway filled in, and we already have the other side out. Now, what we use, the easiest way to do it, is a die grinder and a cutting tool for it. Then we took a couple of files and smoothed it out real nice, but it doesn't have the wiring, so that'll be our first step after mounting them.
We're going to install the factory style fog lights. It's going to be probably the easiest one to install. Got them from Rock Auto, and they bolt right into these brackets, bolt right into the holes that are already there. It's going to make it a lot easier to mount. You don't have to drill and all that. But we have to cut the hole out, which we've done on this one. But we haven't done it on this one. And I'm going to show you how to do that. There's a dozen different ways to do it, but this is the easiest way I've found to do it. And it's but you do have to have a compressor and a die grinder and a side cutter. Kind of looks like an end mill. This one's a 1/4 inch shaft to fit the die grinder and the 3/16 cut head, and that goes pretty quick, and we'll do that in just a second. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to hug this inside edge, because if it gets away from me and wobbles a little bit, I don't want to start on the edge I'm trying to keep clean, because if I do that, then I'm going to get into my main part of my black part here, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to hug the inside edge of this, and I'm going to go around like that, and I'm going to cut that out, and then we'll dress the other part up at a little slower pace, and use my finger to guide this. If you see where my hand's going, I'm going to guide it across and get it a lot closer, and then we'll finish it up with a file. It comes out with a pretty nice clean edge. I don't have a whole lot to do to it, and what little bit I do.
I'm going to use this flat file here. I found if I take here, I can cover the most area, make it the most flat. And just to knock off that burr. Alright, now when you have those burrs on there, I take this. I just do a quick dash, and I'll knock them off. Make it pretty flat. Use this round one for the edges here. Just to flatten them out a little bit. So that's pretty good. Do the same to the other side too.
Now to clean up the filed edge, even though we've taken most of the feathered part out, we're going to use this, and this is a metal deburring tool, mostly used by tinsmiths, sheet metal guys, or machinists to deburr sharp edges. But it works really good on plastic, and they're not all that expensive. I mean, 15 to 20 bucks you can get this and about 6 heads for it, or 6 cutting dies, and it works really good. Come right down that edge there. See how it just pulls all that crap out of there. Once you get it flat, you
And it's
take
making
all.
it more flat as you go.
Yeah, it is. But it also dresses up a rough edge and makes it look a lot better. I can't see that other edge, so I'll have to reposition. Okay, cut it off. These lights have a left and a right, and it says right on it left or right, but it's got this tang that's bent down that fits into this slot. That kind of makes you have to put it on the right side to begin with, and we'll show you how that goes in there. It's pretty easy. The bolts that we're using are dirt bike bolts that you get out of a dirt bike bolt kit, and the ones we have are Suzuki and Kawasaki. But we found 4 of them that they're all the same. One of them's just a smidgen longer than the other one, but they're a large flange head, so they'll give a lot of surface area to hold on to that sheet metal with, and it's just a good fastener. Right there. Now, I'm gonna get it over there where it needs to be. Well, that's not exactly where I wanted it, but that's where it's supposed to be.
I figured they'd be facing out a little bit more.
Well, I figured they'd be facing down a little more.
Oh, they have adjustment.
Okay. That's pretty much it. That's where it ought to be.
Here's our almost finished product, just like the factory, tucked in all nice. Next is the wiring, then we'll have them turned on.
All right, so here we are on the switch itself that's inside the dash. We found, or somebody found before we got it, a fog light switch. Instead of mounting a new one somewhere on here and cutting the hole out and all that, we're going to use the original switch. Now to do that, there's 4 wires going into the switch. I don't know what else it controlled or how it was wired from the factory, but we're not going to be doing that because the wiring's not there. What we're going to do is we had to find the in and out for the switch itself, and I'll show you that it works a little bit later on. But I plucked the 2 wires, and I found on this switch, and it may be common for all of them, it's a black and a purple. The black and the purple are the ones that are power in and out of this switch. The other 2 were on momentary. I'm not sure, maybe it kicked in. I don't know what it did, but anyway, it didn't work for our purpose. But we did find the factory switch will run the new, going through a new relay and all that. And what we did, we pulled a red wire, pulled 2 wires. That's because it's in and out of the switch over to a relay, and we'll get to that a little bit later on. So all of this will tuck back in nicely with the factory switches that are in the dash, so you don't have to add an aftermarket one. And this part right here actually just comes out, so if you ever have to take this out, it comes off like all the other switches do. So anyway, that's where we are, and we'll get to the other part. And we use this factory style wiring harness to cover up all the wires, and we wire tied them all up nice and tight under the dash, so you'll never know that it didn't come that way from the factory.
couple of years, you'll have to go through a transition that many people probably don't want. Because people like to protect the ground so well. What we can say great. Look at nothing in these 2 years. You have actually very lenient when it comes to traditions and culture. Very tolerant. If you criticize national traditions and values and culture, you will be called explosive by the vast majority of the population and can even face legal charge. If the vast majority of the population will want to preserve the political identity. If you go deeper into the Middle East and North Africa, you gotta shut up about criticism directed at your culture. Immigration from other cultures, and especially non-Islamic, no one wants that.
As you can see here, we ran the wire coming from our switch over on this wiring harness.
The one that looks new.
The one that looks new over here to our relay that we have bolted in right here. Now we just had to use it was a screw that was already there and had a ring on it. Now our power is coming through here, and our power for the relay itself is a small wire piggybacking off of a 30 amp fuse. And these wires coming down here, we have both left and right fog light connected and wired up through here. And we have our grounds here, and with a fork on there. Here is our fog light switch. When you hit it, it lights up. The switch was finicky first couple tries, and how we got it through to the engine bay is we ran it through in a wiring harness from behind here up under there. And this dash is really easy to take apart. You have right here, you need to pull on this side and this side right here evenly. This whole housing pops off. Then you just have a couple screws on here. You just look at it underneath, and you can pop off the plastic overlay, and there's a metal plate that's on there. You can get to everything. Now this part, there's 2 screws under here and here that pulls it out, and you can wire it right up there. The wiring harness, and I zip tied in on other things up underneath this. And here is our fog lights at work. Now for which prong does what on the relay, it's best to find a video about an automotive relay anywhere on YouTube, and they give really good examples on there.
The only thing that we didn't show in the video was the connectors themselves. I got some GM alternator connectors at the auto parts store at the same time. Actually, before I bought the wiring is just standard 16 gauge wire that you buy at any automotive store, and it's in a roll, 30-foot rolls, and that was enough. We wired everything independently and grounded them independently, and it just made for a good connector. It's a waterproof connector, and it's nice and clean. You tuck it up tight, you pull the wiring harness back down over it, so if you ever have to take them off or disconnect it, you can unplug it just like any other watertight connector. It just comes right apart. And that was the best thing I could find without going through a lot of headaches and hassles. But it looked pretty good. We're happy with it. So like and subscribe. Talk to you later.